Are your old first gen Celica door cards shagged? Well, let's get to fixing them. Now they may look alright from, you know, this angle when they're on the car and I've already trimmed them up and the handles are on and the winders are in and the speakers are in and that looks all great. But the reality is that the timber that holds these doors together, or the door panels together, is the original timber that came with the car. These pins don't even hold in place anymore. The whole front section of the speaker area doesn't clip together to the car anymore, and that just flops around, which is giving me issues with the stereo. The wires keep coming disconnected and it's just super frustrating. So I thought we'd go through and fix these up with some new board and hopefully make it a little bit helpful for anyone else who needs to rejuvenate their door cards in their Celicas, or any car really. These are just going to be a simple design. They're going to be very similar to what you just saw on the inside of the car. It's just that this is the driver's side one that I've already replaced, and I thought I'd show you just the condition that they are actually in. Like, how is this supposed to hold anything together? I should have replaced these when I first rebuilt the car, but yeah, I didn't. And now I've got to redo it. Step by step we'll go through how to pull this apart, how to pull off your old vinyl, how to detach the top lip that goes over the door sill where the window falls in place, and pretty much just how to set up a nice simple door card so that it is respectable again. So let's get to it. We got to take the window winder off, which is just taking a circlip out from the inside cog of that winder and pulling that off. We need to take the little bolt out of here which holds the surround for the door handle. 3 bolts hold on this armrest, and then pretty much the whole door card will it'll pop out with the little plugs that kind of push it onto the actual framework of the door. This part will slide up, and we'll go take this over to the bench and start disassembling it. So with our door card now removed from the door, we can now close this, and this is what we've got. It looks alright from the outside. Like I said, it is new vinyl, and I've got the parcel shelf and the speaker cover on it and all that. But let's turn it over and just see how bad this passenger side is. Yes, that's real shit hot, isn't it? Look at this. Everything's broke. The speaker is, I mean, all this is just horrible, really. And this has been giving me headaches for the last few months. It's time for new. First thing you do is remove any of the you know, panel pieces that are on the front facing piece. So this one I'm going to take out the speaker cover. The parcel tray is one piece, and that's just got a number of screws that are screwed in from the back of the panel. All these little screws here hold it together, so we're going to take those out, keep the screws, keep this piece, then we're going to get our flathead screwdriver and remove all my staples from around the edge of this board, and then we'll move on to step 2 or 3 or whatever I'm up to. I have no idea. Now we'll remove the speaker piece. It's going to be different for yours, obviously, because not everyone's speaker setup's the same. I'm just going to use a screwdriver to wedge underneath the staple and lever it out. They should come out pretty easy given how horrible quality this timber is. Alright, now that all the staples have been taken out of the vinyl, it's now just held together by really crappy glue, so that's going to be easy to remove off all of these inside overlaps or flaps or whatever you want to call it. We need to keep this timber in as good as quality as we can as we're taking this off, because we're going to use this piece as a template for our new board. That way we can get it as close to fitting as possible with less headaches. We also need to keep all of these panel pins that push the actual card and hold it onto the door. So we need to remove these as carefully as we can because we need to use them. Now it's obvious that I'm missing a lot, so I'm just going to have to make do with what I have. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I did find an extra one. Here's number 5. So I have to make this whole panel work with 5 pins. So the placement of these are going to be very important until I grab a few more of these off the interwebs and get the rest mounted on. Now in here is going to be interesting, removing this weather strip where the window sits. I'm going to try and get it to focus on what we need. So right there, there's a little tiny steel spring-loaded piece that fits through a hole and then it snaps open to hold it in place. I'll walk through how to put these in, which is a bit harder than removing them, but for now, we get our screwdriver, we get it underneath the actual piece. I'm actually going to get underneath the vinyl as well, and we're just going to get that jammed, and you can see as I twist the screwdriver clockwise, it's going to lift those pins out and release that from the actual metal frame. So we're going to go along here. I'm actually missing one from there because this is a very old piece and it was broken long ago. You can see that right there. There's another one. So we're going to aim it up, go under, and then turn, and it pops out. Now you have to be very careful with these. Some are much more rusted than others on certain cars, depending on the condition, and you can break these. If you do break these and you can't reuse the original piece, you can buy these pieces on eBay. A full set may set you back around 200 Australian. Personally, it's worth it. I will be buying myself a new set of these in the future. For now, I'm going to make do with what I got. So now they are all released, we can simply gently remove this and put it somewhere safe for the next half hour. Now we'll remove the vinyl from the rest of the panel. Now I'm going to be reusing these vinyl pieces because this is what I cut to put the door cards together originally. So I need to get rid of any of this foam that's actually still adhesed onto the vinyl because I can't have it there or it'll come through as a lumpy surface on the other side when we reinstall it. So I'm going to clean all these bits of foam off and make that look nice again. Alright, with the vinyl put aside, we can now work on removing the top metal frame, which is pop riveted onto the actual door card itself, because we need to keep this piece and reuse it. So let's start doing that now by drilling out with a 3mm drill all these pop rivets, and they'll come out pretty easily. So now with the pop rivets drilled out, they're all nice and empty, we need to disassemble the metal molded piece from the old crappy plywood. To do this, I don't really want to damage this too much more. I mean, I've already actually destroyed this end and I do need to use this for a template. So, however you can work out a way to remove that from that, because it is glued in with actual glue as well as the pop rivets, I'm going to try and wedge a screwdriver underneath or in between the timber and the metal and run it all the way along to separate it from the metal piece and get it ready to be templated onto the new board. Now that this piece has been removed, I need to clean it all up. I got to get rid of all this foam, which is just backing foam for a little bit of cushy goodness. I need to remove all this foam from here. I'm going to use a paint stripper wheel. I'm in need of using the actual grinder to remove the leftover bits of very thin plywood that's actually stuck to the underside of the metal. So paint stripper for the foam, or a paint stripper wheel for the foam, and then an actual grinder piece just gently getting rid of all of this timber, but not too hard because the grinder could actually grind through the thin metal. And then I'll use the paint stripper wheel on top of that to clean it up. Now I'll swap over to the actual grinder to get rid of the old timber that was on the other side of that metal piece. Now that the timber's gone, or that old crappy plywood, we're going to put the paint stripper wheel back on and just give it a little bit of a tidy up. And there we have it. She's tidied up, all smooth, ready for new adhesive and for some new, some new timber, really. We're getting very close to that part. So I'm just going to put this aside for a little while, and now we're going to actually put this on top of the new board, mark out the template, cut the template, make it look pretty, attach this to this, and move on. So let's get that done. I don't know if this is the right board to use or not, but it sure is better than what I have now, so I'm using it. This is from Bunnings Warehouse, 3mm by 1200 by 900 MDF. A sheet of this at that size cost about 10 bucks. So I'm gonna have some left over to do other things in the car if I need to do any panel work at a later stage. All right, so now that the old board is sitting on top of the new MDF as a template, we need to trace out the old board, including all the holes where the body clips go, I guess, so that we get that correct. We also need to trace out the holes for the door handle, for the door handle lever-y thing. Oh, what's this, an armrest? Armrest. And the window winder. And also, I'm going to drill out all the little holes that were for my parcel tray or my speaker housing, that piece down there on the ground, because I need to get that in the right position on the new board as well. We're going to get the cheapest spray paint we can. This is just really, really cheap black spray paint. And I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure down on the actual top of the board to keep it really close together, and then just spray an outline around the whole panel. We're also going to drill out the holes for the pop rivets that are going to hold the original steel brace on. All right, now we're going to use a 13mm drill bit to drill out those holes for the body clips. And again, we're just going to drill on top and stencil what's originally there. Alrighty, so now that's all done. So as you can see, all the holes have been drilled in the original spots for the door clips. I've also drilled the holes in the panel below so that I can cut that out with a jigsaw easier. Not cutting out the speaker hole yet. This is for the actual door handle. So now that I've got that all sprayed up, I know where to cut with a jigsaw when I take this off. Ping this off. Now this is going to be the last time we need this door card. Thank God, I can't wait to never see it again. Get rid of all the shavings. Now here's our template to cut. And also all these are now drilled in the correct positions for those suckers to go in. I'm not going to have to worry about lining it all up and making it all perfect. It's already pre-drilled in the right spot. And there we have it, all cut out. Next step is I'm going to get my file. I'm just going to tidy up these edges by hand. It takes literally 2 minutes, just so that all the edges are nice and smooth and it's not, you know, not too shabby looking. I'm going to disassemble this and use it as a template for the hole I got to cut. Cut the hole out, put the speaker in, get that cut open and ready for next step. Alright, now time for the fun part. Reattaching the metal support brace up the top to the door card with some pop rivets. Pretty much we're just going to put a bead of wood glue along this here first, then we'll place this on top, then we'll pop rivet it all together. The pop rivets will hold it in place while the wood glue sets, giving it a really strong bond overnight. We can continue working on this now anyway because the pop rivets will be more than strong enough to hold it in place. So I'm just locating the first pin on this side and the far pin on this side, and the rest will just line up. Alright, so that's the fun bit over. The new pop rivets are in place. I grabbed this foam stuff from Spotlight today, and it's like material on both sides, very fine material with foam in between. So we're going to cut this up, lay it on top, use some spray adhesive to stick it on, and then trim it all around those little cutout areas that I have. So I'm going to start by spraying some of the adhesive I have here. This is Gorilla heavy duty adhesive spray, and it seems to work okay. For what I've used it on in the past, it seems to hold alright. I'm going to put a nice layer of it over this top section because this is where the foam is going to fold down and needs to adhere onto there on a bit of an angle, or so around that kind of curve. And we're also going to spray the rest of that board. I'll also spray the back of this foam and give it a minute to dry before I tack it on. And when I do attach this, it has to be accurate along this edge so that I don't muff it up. Now that's all on, it's time to get our trusty razor blade and slice off all the excess from around the edges and all of the areas that we need holes in. I found that using a hand file to actually rub off the edges from the foam within the holes works really well. I'll show you what I'm talking about. It makes life a lot easier. We've lined up the vinyl so my original holes go back on top, which is wonderful. Obviously, if you're making a new vinyl cover, you'll have to just, punch these holes through once it's stuck on. You won't really have anything to follow. But I am reusing my original vinyl, so if you do want to make a new vinyl cover for this, you're just going to have to use your intuition, or follow another awesome YouTube video that someone's probably made before about covering your doors in your own vinyl. As far as reattaching this is concerned, it's just a matter of adhesing this with some spray glue, putting that original trim piece on top, and getting those pins back through that hole. So as you can see, there's these little cross sections which needs to go into that little hole there and then press down. The easiest way we're going to do that is rest it in place and use a screwdriver to push one of those little tiny X's across. Use one of these to push it across so that it falls into that hole, and then we'll push it down. Then we're going to get our cheap little stapler that I got from Bunnings for like $7. And we're going to use some 10mm wide by 4mm deep staples. They're very, very cheap. And they work a treat. So the thickness of this board being 3mm, plus the thickness of the foam being another 4mm, these aren't going to poke through the other side of the vinyl. Remember that when you're buying your staples, so you don't actually staple through the vinyl on the other side, and then you can see all the points of your staples, because that would suck. So let's get that started. Now we're also not adhesing the vinyl to that foam underlay. I don't want any ripples or crimples or crinks or anything in the vinyl, and when you spray glue the vinyl onto that foam, you run the risk of gluing in a wrinkle, and then you have to pull the whole thing apart and redo the whole panel to fix that wrinkle. Doing it this way, where this will be floating on top but stapled underneath, is a far safer way and a much cleaner look as an end result with the vinyl. So don't glue the vinyl to the actual foam. Buying a $7 stapler from Bunnings does have its downsides. I do find that the staples do get jammed up in here a little bit more than I'd like. And there we have it. All the stapling is now finished. There's a couple little edges here that I have to actually glue on because of the steel piece there, so I can't actually staple through that. Apart from that, the staples are all on nicely. I know that this is out of whack because I have changed the location of the speaker itself on the door card, so don't be fussed about this. It's all going to get covered up by the shroud anyway. All of the holes that I had in the vinyl earlier are all matching the timber, so that's really good. It's now time to install the speaker and install this parcel tray speaker shroud thing. Alright, speaker is now mounted to the new door card nicely. We just got to put the shroud over the top. We'll do that now, and then we're ready to go take it to the door, test fit it, and put it in its final resting place. Alright, now we're going to basically hang this back on the door frame, put all the little tiny body pins back into the panel, line them up to the pre-existing holes. First I'm going to attach the speaker wires so I don't forget to do that and have to take the whole thing off again. Bad camera angle, I know, but I'm working in a horrible garage and I'm limited. So let's get this back on. Alright, first problem I have is the screws that I've used to hold the speaker mounts on are too long and actually hitting against the metal frame. So I need to get my grinder, grind those off, be back in 1 minute. Alright, with that done, crisis averted, we'll continue. Alright, now we need to put all the body pins back in to the door frame and line them up so that they pop back into the original position that they were in. Alright, panel is on. It is finicky to get those little tiny body pins back where they originally were, but you can maneuver them around. When you do your own, you'll see exactly how they work. You can rotate them within the circle that you cut out, so there's a bit of adjustment. Now, window winder, the little shroud for the door handle, and the armrest. And that's very basic stuff. Let's screw them back on and we're pretty much done. Alright, armrest is on, speakers work, I gave them a quick test. Now the final piece is the window winder. Before we actually attach it, I'm just going to make sure that the window actually goes up and down. So let's just roughly get this attached. Window up. Window down. Awesome. Now I found the best way to do this is actually put the clip into this first, like so. Alright, so put the actual circlip into the handle, and then you're just going to find the thread, make sure it's on. We're going to hit it with a rubber mallet or some kind of soft hammer so it pops over that thread and into the retaining slot where my dirty fingernail is sitting. Trying to put this pin on after the door handle on is a right pain in the butt, and I don't recommend you give yourself such a headache trying to work it out. So let's pop this on now and we're pretty much finished. Alright peeps, that sums it up. That's new door cards on the car. It's one of those things that you wouldn't really notice from outside, and if you didn't tell anybody, it wouldn't really matter. But I know, and I knew that the door cards were original and old and crappy, and everything was flopping around on me and it was just really getting annoying. So it's peace of mind knowing that I've got nice new quality timber in there. I've already done the driver's side, so I don't have to worry about doing that. The passenger side is now done, and I thought I'd document this for you guys in case you are at this stage of just trying to do a quick simple door card for your car. There's nothing here fancy that I've done with the trim. By all means, do what you want. You can get all fancy and have lines and trim pieces in there and colours and piping and everything. That is great, but on this particular door, I like it to just be nice and flat with a nice soft touch to it, which I think is sleek, elegant, and simple. Nothing over the top. So that suits the rest of the interior of the car just fine. So we can shut this now. Turn off my bright ass light. And now I've got to clean up this freaking mess. Look at it. I'll do it tomorrow. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. New door cards are in. I hope that helped you guys out a little bit. I don't know what's next. There's plenty of things that are due to be done to this car. It has now been registered and running on the road as a daily driver for over a year. Time flies when you're having fun. So far, I haven't been in any accidents. And the car is doing really well. Obviously, the gearbox blew up on me, so I got a new gearbox in there. That was my fault. Remember to top up your gearbox oil, please. Everything else about this car has been doing really well. It's very dirty at the moment because it was raining before, and now I need to wash it. But it's due for a big detail anyway. And it's good that I'm getting the interior pieces finally sorted, because it just feels nicer once it's all clean and tidy. But anyway guys, I'm going to stop talking. Thanks for watching, and we'll see ya in the next one.